Taking a brief scan through time, we begin with the first duet in which I danced fast with Nancy, dancing with abandon and thrust to get into momentum. It seems rough and disorienting for her, but she was up for it. One year later, the sensation of movement was more continuous, the flow of movement longer. There was more time to feel what was happening. While in contact, we attend to our own reflexes, which have been stimulated by the other's movements. Our reflexes move us, and this causes our partner to move. This cycle of movement responses is continuous and forms the basis of the dialogue. When physical safety could be assumed at a more instinctive level, we were free to play with time and the subtleties of touch. Phrases of movement could be extended indefinitely when we no longer needed to stop and check our situation. At this point, we had examined the timing of the body on its own for 6 years and began searching for ways to change our habitual patterns. Using music was one of these ways. For this performance, Colin Walcott played, incorporating the random sounds of our movement into his drumming. We danced to his rhythm and he played to ours. During periods of extended soloing, we each expect physical contact at any moment. We wait for the moment of decision to be taken by our partner or by ourselves. Over the years, the principles underlying our movement remain the same. As the senses expand into spherical space, and the muscular system learns to respond to touch on any surface of the body, any point can be the fulcrum for leverage and continuity.
I'm not jumping. I'm not like jumping. I'm breathing. I'm holding him right on me. Not out here. Not out here. Here. Really here. Otherwise it's too hard. I want to put it on my body and turn. One more. Tension masks, covers sensation. So it's a balance. If I'm too tense, I don't feel gravity. I can't tell if I'm falling. And then it's very late. I'm relaxed and I feel it's going down. I work with it. Too loose, it's not good. Too tight, it's difficult. I'm not already committed to a shape. I'm in the movement, and I feel the support, and I organize around the support when I feel it, very quickly. But I wait. But I'm not too loose, and I'm not already committed. I'm in between. Spread it way out. You got to really, you can't hold back from the floor. You can guide the descent. The earth is bigger than you. So you might as well coordinate with it.
Like this? When an apple fell on his head, Isaac Newton was inspired to describe his three laws of motion. These became the foundation of our ideas about physics. Being essentially objective, Newton ignored what it feels like to be the apple. When we get our mass in motion, we rise above the constant call of gravity toward the swinging, circling invitation of centrifugal force. Dancers ride and play these forces. Beyond Newton's third law, we discover that for every action, several equal and opposite reactions are possible. Therein lies an opportunity for improvisation. We are looking at performance of contact improvisation, a duet movement form. This tape takes a sweeping look over 11 years of practice by Nancy Stark Smith, from her first exposure to the form I was working on when it was new in 1972, through moments chosen from consecutive years of performing with me, Steve Paxton, and with others. Nancy solos by testing her movement, playing with gravity and the floor, which are, in this work, not taken for granted, but are considered as constant partners. She doesn't direct herself. She starts moving and then lets it happen, finding ways to cope with momentum and gravity. Here, Nancy and her partner Kurt Siddall move to follow the point of touch as it moves, a basic focus for their improvisation. In the play of moving and being moved, specific movements are unpredictable, but they occur within a knowable field of gravity, centrifugal force, support, and dependency. Human touch unites the forces which act upon the body with the sensations they provoke within the body. This interaction makes it possible to keep all the parts of both their bodies harmonizing. They were not so adventurous 4 years earlier. In this first performance of contact improvisation, they were getting used to moving by touch. By feeling their way, they brought back clues about the form and about themselves and their perceptions. The performance which attracted Nancy to this form was a high-energy study called Magnesium. I made Magnesium for a group of men at Oberlin College. It investigated the reflexive quality of touch, with momentum, falling, rolling, and colliding. Magnesium ends with 5 minutes of standing to draw a great distinction in the scale of movement. Standing still is not actually still. Balancing on two legs demonstrates to the dancer's body that one moves with gravity, always. Observing the constant adjustments the body makes to keep from falling calms the whole being. It is a meditation. It is watching the reflexes at work, knowing they are subtle and dependable, not just emergency measures. Standing became one of our disciplines, keeping the mind attentive to the body's present moment. This simple practice was preparation for the complex interactions that would arise with a partner, as were the throwing and catching practices that called for instant response, introducing ourselves to adrenalized states. At first, there seemed to be only two options: trying to follow the flow of communication or resisting it. Each dance is a series of on-the-spot decisions, and they are on the spot. The soft skin is alert to the points of contact, signals telling the dancers where they are, orienting them to their partner and to the floor. Their perceptions are stretching. They are adrenalized. Inside their minds, the many touch events and constantly changing relationships blend into a continuity of moving masses which creates a logic reached only in the heat of the dance. A logic as secure as that found when standing alone and watching the reflexive dance of one's bones. Higher momentum brings new areas of risk. In order to develop this aspect of the form, we had to be able to survive it. The support needed from the unconscious reflexive parts of the brain is more present when the conscious mind is not afraid. The calmness of standing is extended into the fall. There are hazards. One of them is thinking ahead. What the body can do to survive is much faster than thought. It is useful to retrain the reflexes to extend the limbs rather than contract them during a fall. This fall is very disorienting. Nancy's arms manage to cradle her back, and this spreads the impact onto a greater area. And she doesn't stop moving. That helps to disperse the impact over a slightly longer time. She doesn't seem bothered.
Spread it way out. You got to really, you can't hold back from the floor. You can guide the descent. The earth is bigger than you. So you might as well coordinate with it.
I'm here in this idyllic country setting, but I don't think there's any disengagement. I think I'm just as angry as I was in the 60s. And here is where I cultivate my pessimism. We had, in the 50s and early 60s, a very conventional and sort of stupid culture as I think I've heard often happens after a devastating period of war, which is everybody just wants to be safe and have security and be warm and be happy and build life in a kind of idealistic way, leading almost nowhere, because it was still contained racial prejudice, it still contained sexual prejudice, it still contained the power divisions that had set everything up for. So, the counterculture had a lot on its plate to complain about. And the way it was doing it was, of course, sort of demonstrating its complaint. And that just seemed so shallow somehow, you know. Anyway, there was plenty of sex, there was plenty of sports, there was plenty of dance as far as I could see, and I wanted to make something that was outside. Well, Magnesium came first. It was at Oberlin College in early 72. And it was a men's class at Oberlin. And Grand Union was there, and we were all teaching various classes. And so for these young men who weren't dancers, you know, they were athletes, some of them, I thought it would be interesting to explore that side of them, as opposed to, I think if it had been a class of women, I would never have pursued, you know, a sort of rough form. And it was a gymnasium, it had a running track where the audience stood looking down into the pit, like like the Roman audience looking down at the gladiators. We made a 15-minute piece, 10 minutes of which was fairly rough, colliding in the air, falling to the mat. We had a big mat, wrestling mat. Rolling, encountering each other in a very much like wolf puppies playing or something. And then a 5-minute stand of just standing. I had done a lot of Aikido, and I had gotten the idea that really you could just jump off the planet and not worry about how you were coming down. That your reflexes and training and if you had strength would protect you almost any way you came down. It's not true, but I mean, I'm just talking about the vision. It's just very nice to be able to put your all into practicing something in which the aim is to engage in the struggle, because I think psychologically that's something that we can't be afraid to do. At the same time, the preservation of all concerned, you know, just a very broad sweep of thinking there, you know. It isn't like I'm going to injure or defeat or smash or all the other words we use for victory in English these days. I mean, it's a pretty violent field to enter into the language of sports or politics or all the other places where winning and losing seem to be such primary goals. But that winning should be the preservation of both opponents. You were responding with harmony to the violent, unbelievable sort of philosophical leap in movement or in martial arts there. So that's what I had studied. I didn't know that I was interested in that aspect of it. I was interested in the movement of it. I thought the movement was very beautiful, and it was a profound shift from dancing to go into Aikido movement, and suddenly not have art be the reason that you were moving the way you were, but you were moving the way you were for survival. I'm still training people to do the Aikido role, because it's a brilliant demonstration of the physics of falling. Has saved my life many times over the years, and or at least my body. It saved me from injury. Because if you're going into the fall, if you're projecting into the fall, then you have just that little fraction of control of the fall. And you can change the direction of the accident into one that's favorable to your body and its situation. If you're withdrawing, then you're just going to go. I never had any training in fighting. I think that's really important. I don't think you understand fighting without studying it. You know, it's very theoretical or entertainment or something. But to really study it and to engage with the movement of it, and I'm not talking about sport here, I'm talking about study of movement, is very liberating, of a certain kind of self-inflicted position relative to aggression. And if you don't have that, then it's very much more complex for people to attack you, because you're not presenting as a victim. I wish this could be adopted. It's utopian, but there are millions of Aikidoists out there who understand it, and I hope they're influencing everything, because it's crazy not to have this as a possibility. Otherwise, we just become smashers of each other. You know, that's what we're reduced to.
Really, you know, you can't hold back from the floor. You can guide the descent. The earth is bigger than you. So you might as well coordinate with it.
I did not want this to turn into something that would be dangerous. And I recognize that danger is a matter of what you can adapt to. Danger is a matter of not being aware, and danger is a matter of maybe not staying comfortable within your body. At the same time, some of the possibilities in this work were relatively new to people, at least as adults. I think as children we all experienced, being played with by adults, and so, but then it didn't matter. Then we had no responsibility. The adult was responsible. But here, two adults are both responsible. When you're highly adrenalized, something is happening to you that you don't quite understand, that you think might be dangerous, all those symptoms of fearful apprehension of what's going on, or even just dizziness, just disorientation. I wanted to be able to work from within that perception somehow. I wanted to be able, for them to be able to transition states from an ordinary state of just touching another body, leaning against it, giving a little weight, to maybe suddenly being up on the shoulder and being spun around, and a whole different part of your body being supported, and quick transitions, to not freak out, and to be able to sense where they were so they didn't lose themselves in the disorientation. If you, as we did in those days, jumped in the air onto or into the arms of your partner, that it was very important that you be presenting them with your center of mass in the pelvis so that they could deal with that, not some fragment of yourself, or not being, with the center of mass somehow out here unavailable to their support. So the reason it's called contact improvisation is because there is a third entity that arises in this state. It is the state, hopefully, you get to the state of agreement between the two of you that neither one of you is leading. It doesn't become leaderless. It is the two of you who are together leading. I mean, I'm sure this is the point of every collaboration, but it's a pretty good example of how it works when it's made very, very simple and you just examine that potential. So yeah, you're not just taking responsibility for yourself, you're taking responsibility for two other entities. One is your partner, who you hope is also taking care of you. And then there is this third thing, which is what you are together. Sounds like marriage, doesn't it? An ideal marriage. Even though I was training the dancers with martial arts and with challenges to their perceptions and their orientation and their actual strength and all of that. The point of it was that they aren't warriors. The point of it is that whatever they're doing, because it's an improvisation and because it's one which is defined in almost the most general terms of, Newtonian physics, there isn't a person described in the proposal. There isn't a person there. This is, what's absent is psychology, emotions, intellect, lots of the stuff that we know we are and have. Is contact improvisation enough to be an antidote for the aggressive tendencies that we have? And I would say no. Christianity isn't enough either. Buddhism isn't enough. Nothing has stopped it from happening so far. The problem is, as always, with everything you set up and you think, okay, this is really going to work, young people come along. Babies are born and they grow up and they don't know shit about what everybody else is working on, and they just start doing their own thing. And they go through their hormonal stages and they just mess everything up. Children are the problem. No, I can't say that, but I have said it, so I can't unsay it. And after children, I would say the problem is adults. And because if there weren't adults, nobody would care what the children did. Half the nation is overweight. What does that mean? What does that mean in terms of our food production, our food preparation, our lives? I mean, it's, I'm depressed, you know. I think it's a trap. I didn't think it could possibly happen this fast. I thought it took centuries for empires to decline, not a generation. Didn't know you could just kind of fall off your throne, you know, and flail helplessly, trying. That used to be, I used to be up there, but now I somehow can't seem to get up, you know. Something like that seems to be happening. Whether we will fall off entirely and not be able to get up, I don't know. So am I critical or am I observant? Or is there a difference? I don't know. Do I observe what I critique? Do I critique, therefore I observe? I don't know.